Welcome to my kitchen. I'm Chef Natalie, Doctor of Clinical Nutrition and Functional Medicine, and I just want to welcome you to my live. Here at Elegantly Raw Cuisine, we teach you how to nourish the body from the cellular level, and we teach you how to put together the produce of the earth to make delicious, healthy, nourishing food. And in this challenge, I show you how to make cauliflower Indian style, or Indian style scrambled cauliflower, however you want to call it. But it's all raw, it's healthy, and it's very nourishing for the body. So we will start with our cauliflower. Half cup to 1 cup of coconut cream, and quarter cup of pine nuts, and half cup of almonds. So the almonds, I took the skin off and they're sprouted, if you noticed, and this is the pine nuts. And they're all soaked and rinsed. We need a little bit of salt to bring out the flavors, some garlic, some veggies, peppers, celery. We'll dice up some onions, we'll add some cilantro, we add cumin and some turmeric. So this is an Indian style scrambled cauliflower. All right, and then we'll plate the dish and then we'll take a look at what I'll do next. All right, so share the live while I put my gloves on. Share the live, get a pen and paper to take some notes while I put this recipe together for you. All right, I preparing the cauliflower. So you just need a bowl and you need the cauliflower. Now since it's just me and I'll be eating it, I'll just cut this in half. I don't need the whole thing. I may even cut it in quarters. So I'll just cut it in half and keep the other half for another recipe. All right, and then we will just remove the leaves, and since it's organic, you can add these parts to a juice. Okay, and we'll move the stems that are very thick and like, see some of these stems like these, I'm gonna take them off. And cut this piece out here. It's very hard, and we don't really want to eat those right now in this recipe, but they can be used in a different recipe. Like if I were doing cauliflower nuggets or something, I'll keep the stems on. So remove as much stem as you can and keep them for a juice. Okay, we will start to just gently cut the cauliflower up in half because we need to wash the cauliflower. So I'm just gonna cut them in half because I want the water to get between the florets to kill any kind of bacteria, because we're gonna eat this raw, right? We don't want to get sick. Alright, so we'll put that over there, give it a little cut here again, put that in there, put that there. And to clean the cauliflower, we're gonna just use a little bit of warm water and some salt. Alright, doesn't matter how much salt, just put salt. And then I'm gonna put some warm water, not boiling water, just warm water. And I'm just gonna soak it in there for a few minutes. Yes, it's still alive. So once your hand could go into the water, that's good. And let it soak for a few minutes. Just open up the florets so that the water and the salt could get in between them, because we want to make sure that there's no bacteria or fungus in there, since we're gonna eat it live. I also do the same thing for broccoli as well, because those florets are so tight, things could go in between there and live. All right, so we just let this sit on the side while we make the cream that we will be using to marinate the cauliflower in. It's kind of will mimic our oil, I guess, if you're scrambling eggs or something. So let's make the cream. Now we want to make a thick cream. It doesn't matter how many, the measurement really. We just want to make sure that the cream is thick, right? But for this particular recipe, I said half cup of soaked and sprouted and almonds. We remove the skin from the almonds. And then we're going to use quarter cup of soaked pine nuts. And then this is about half cup of coconut milk, and I may try to get it as thick as I can. So I'm just going to put just enough to cover the nuts, the seeds and the nuts, because I don't want it to be runny. I want it to be nice and thick, that when I put it on the cauliflower, it would not slide off the cauliflower. All right. My blender is a little bit dirty, as you'd observe, because I just used it to make the milk, so I did not rinse the blender out. Okay. So let's get blending. You want this as smooth as possible, so you may not use all of your milk, and that's quite okay, but you just want to put just what you need to keep the cream as smooth as possible. All right, and I may not even use all that cauliflower. I do like to put a little bit of Irish moss in here, because some people say when you eat cauliflower, it raw, it can slow down the thyroid because it inhibits the absorption of iodine. So I'm just putting a little bit back in there. Not too much, maybe a tablespoon. That's the cream. So now let's rinse the cauliflower off. We'll just rinse it off and right now, and then we'll pat it dry. Now you know cauliflower is very good. It's very good if you're working on or working with someone who has cancer. The goitrogens in here and the different compounds within the cauliflower, like the dim and all these different things. Like the dim is good for someone who has excess of estrogen, right? And because it's a cruciferous vegetable, it's really good for those who have, it's cancer preventive. And if you have a protocol that you're working on, you can add this in it for someone who is actually battling cancer. It's part of their menu, of their meal. So I'm just going to strain off the cauliflower here. Alright, so I strained the cauliflower off. And now I'm going to take a very clean kitchen towel, and I'm just going to, I think I have two together here, and we're going to pat it dry because we don't want to take out the excess liquid because we're not cooking this, and I don't want it to be running. If you are estrogen dominant, eating more cruciferous vegetables will help the liver to clear the excess estrogen out of the body. And goitrogens are typically known to affect the thyroid if the iodine in the person is really low. So I added the Irish moss to add excess additional iodine to the dish to help negate the goitrogenic effect of the goitrogens in the cauliflower. So again, if you don't love cauliflower, you can do broccoli, you can do arugula. There are other different cruciferous vegetables that you can enjoy that help to get the benefits of the cruciferous vegetables. And I believe everyone should be eating more cruciferous vegetables because cancer is very common today. It's like almost everybody's getting cancer. So we should have a diet that is preventative. Use a knife to chop this up. And then I'll put it in the bowl. So, but definitely you can use your food processor if you don't have knife skills. And the food processor would not take this long. Yes, so everyone should be eating a cancer preventative diet, adding more cruciferous vegetables, anti-inflammatory foods to the diet, um, so that your body will have what it needs to fight these things off. You know, we can't wait for things to happen and then try to roll the clock back. Right? We never know what we may encounter in this life. Even people eat healthy, because apart from eating healthy, there are other things in our environment that really challenge our health. You know, we have things like toxic air, toxic relationships, stress, you know, the air in our house, the job we work in. I mean, just so many things that challenge our health. So, it's a blessing if you try to eat a diet that is that will give your body a fighting chance, right? All right, so let's chop this baby up, get it in the bowl. Thank you for joining me while I make this breakfast recipe. You know, typically, all right, if you know you're in a hurry, use a food processor, okay? This is gonna take a little longer than I thought with the knife. Okay. And soaking the broccoli in the warm salt water also helps to soften it up a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit. So you may enjoy it warm or at room temperature. Alright. Chop it as small as you can, or you can put it in the food processor. Alrighty. Oh, and one other thing about cauliflower. Your body has a natural detoxification mechanism in your body. You don't have to do anything. Your body, it's built in, right? You see how we are wonderfully created and made? It's built in by our Creator. Our Creator knows that we will be encountering toxic situations and toxic environment, toxic food. So the Creator built in its own natural detoxification system in the body. And the liver is like the star of the show when it comes to detoxifying the body or removing toxins from the body. And there's something called the phase 1 and phase 2 detoxification. And cruciferous vegetables like your cauliflower are so important in helping the body clear toxins out of the body. So it's so important, my friends, to eat a diet that can help your body work optimally. Support these natural functions in your built into your body. All right? Oh, cabbage is also, I forgot, cabbage is also another cruciferous vegetable. Alright. I may not use all of this cauliflower because, so you just have to play it by ear. Before I set it out. So, my screen timed out on me. Alright, I think I might have enough. I think I have enough there. I have that in a salad or something. Alright. So I hope you're enjoying the 21 days of Elegantly Raw cuisine. If you've never tried raw before, I try to make the recipes as simple as possible. I try not to use dehydrators and fancy equipment, except for my carrot pecan date scones. I just needed to do something with the pulp, so that's why I used the dehydrator. But if you really want to do raw long term, then to stay on it, you might want to think about investing in a dehydrator, because that helps you to make crusts and different things like that. One day I'll show you how to set up your raw kitchen. Alright. Alright, I think this should be enough for me. Alright. Alright, I think this should be enough for me. What do you think? That should be enough for me, because we don't want to eat too much. And then we shall use this for another time. Alrighty. Put this here. Alright, so to our cauliflower, we are going to add a few veggies. So typically when you make scrambled eggs, people put celery in there. So we're gonna add a little celery. And you want to make sure you're dicing these things really small, because remember, you're gonna eat it raw. You don't want huge chunks of celery, raw celery, in any dish, alright? That just doesn't taste good. Okay. A little bit more celery here. Alrighty. I went to the grocery store to get parsley, and I don't know what happened to the parsley. I don't know if I picked it up, put it back. I don't know what happened to the parsley. So we ended up with an Indian style scrambled cauliflower. So you know what, in Indian culture, they use a lot of spices. But today we are just going to use turmeric and cumin. You can definitely use some curry powder in here. And we're going to add the coconut milk to help the flavors explode in the dish. That's why I added the coconut milk in the cream. Alright, so now we're just going to add a pepper. Take out the seeds. You can save the seeds to plant in your garden, which I'm going to do. And then you just want to strip this up. And then dice it really small, please. I didn't have red peppers, but you can definitely put some red peppers in there to add some nice red color. I tell you, I don't know what I did when I went to the grocery store. I went to get all these things, but just didn't. Another thing you can do with the garlic, so that you wouldn't be tasting chunky garlic, you can throw your garlic in your cream. The only reason why I didn't throw my garlic in my cream is I may have leftover cream and I want to use it for a sweet dish. So I didn't want to mess the whole thing up with garlic. But if you know you're going to use all the cream, you can definitely throw your cloves of garlic into the cream. And that way it will be blended in, and when you pour it in your recipe, it will be nice and smooth in there. Alright. Alright. And then I want to add some garlic. So we're just going to, I love lots of garlic. I'm so sorry, I like garlic. Garlic is good for so many things. It can reduce blood pressure. So eat a medicinal diet, okay? Eat foods that will heal the body. Eat a medicinal diet. Eat a raw, living food medicinal diet. So let's just chop this up. Mince it as much as you can. If you can't mince and you don't like chopping, as I said, put it in your blender. Alright. Quarter of a red onion. Very small amount. I washed the onion before, so because I used it for something else. Alright, so now we're just gonna remember, cut it really small because you don't want to be tasting big chunks of raw onion in your scrambled cauliflower. Alrighty. I hope you're taking notes. And you can just give it an extra chop here so we know that it's really chopped really small. Alright, there you go. We don't need these big ones here. Put them in my compost bag. Alright, so now we want to add some cilantro if you like cilantro. If you don't like cilantro, you can use a different herb, but I know the cilantro would give it that Indian flavor. So we're going to add the cumin. And everything is like about, the turmeric powder is about 1/4 teaspoon because we're going for color here. And then the cumin was about 1/2 teaspoon. Alright, and then I'm just going to do a pinch of salt in here. What a pinch is, 1/4. Put salt according to your taste buds, okay? Put salt according to your taste buds. I don't like a lot of salt, so you may need more. Also, now you're going to do, so what I want you to do is to mix this up. Use your hand, it's a lot better. Use your hand, but when you mix in, squeeze, okay? So you mix and squeeze. That helps to soften the cauliflower. Mix and squeeze. It helps to soften the cauliflower, and it also helps to infuse the turmeric, and you get that scrambled yellow look. Alright, see, this is a lot for me to eat. So now you can put a little bit of, so we're going to use a little bit of the cream at a time because we don't want to make the recipe very thin or runny because we want to mimic scrambled eggs, I guess. I don't like to say that. We're not mimicking anything. We're making our own dish. So when you mix, you squeeze. That helps to marinate the cauliflower. It helps to soften it. It helps to get all, see how it looks really nice. Scramble look, see? You get that scramble look? Alright. So keep massaging it until it gets nice and soft. So squeeze, massage, squeeze and massage. That's the technique to help soften it up and for it to taste really like cook-like texture. Right? Again, you know, people, you would hear folks talk about you should not eat raw cauliflower, but if you add some extra iodine in there, like true kelp, Irish moss, or dulse, typically the goitronic effect on the thyroid is only when the iodine is low in some with that individual. Right, so I added that extra boost of iodine from the Irish moss. So I think this is a nice consistency for me. You can determine if you want it a little bit more sauce in there, I guess. You can add more of the cream. Right, and I'm just going to taste it. with my left hand. I think I need a little more salt, but it does taste good. And I do taste the cumin. Oop. And it's very soft. A little crunchy, but very soft. I think this will work. And you can add other veggies that you would like in here. So that's it, and that's our scrambled cauliflower, Indian style scrambled cauliflower raw. So now we need to plate our dish. Of course, it's not elegantly raw until we plate the dish, okay? So I want you to see what I'm doing here. All right. So I already have a dish here with a few things on it, and I don't want to. So I have some broccoli sprouts there. So I already put some broccoli sprouts in there. So we're just gonna add some of this here, and then I can take my glove off and I can add the rest of the items. Okay. All right. That looks amazing right there. Okay, I'm gonna take my gloves off. So what else do you normally eat scrambled cauliflower with? Sorry, scrambled. What else do you normally eat scrambled eggs with? How about some avocado? How about some garlic, rosemary garlic, buckwheat butter? And how about some pickled onions on the side? And then remember I made yesterday or some time ago some scones from pulp that was left over from our carrot porridge, pecan porridge. So we're gonna add that also to our plate as well. So we add a few here to our plate. So who doesn't like something crunchy? We do, I do. When you're doing raw foods. So I have about 3 scones. Okay, and then we're gonna add a little pickled onion. I made pickled onion with a little bit of lemon juice, salt, and honey. We'll just put the pickle on top of the how about that? And then we need a little avocado, baby. Oh, the avocado isn't good. After I waited so long for the avocado. So, alright, so we have scrambled cauliflower Indian style, broccoli sprouts, and my carrot, pecan, date scones, and then we just have a little butter right here to finish off the meal. And this butter is my favorite garlic rosemary buckwheat, sprouted buckwheat butter. All right, so here you have it, my elegantly raw breakfast. So you can definitely have a full meal. You can definitely have a full meal, and I am gonna put pictures on the there so you can see these meals. Indian style and your kale on the side. Enjoy. Bye. Thank you for watching. Look at that. Look at that. Thank you for watching. Bye. Again, I want to encourage you. Eat more living foods. Add more living foods to your diet. Add more raw foods to your diet. eat a diet that's anti-inflammatory. All right, and thank you for hanging out with Elegantly Raw Cuisine.